So welcome back to Managerial Accounting. The purpose of this little brief mini lecture here is to cover off Objective 4 and Objective 5 in the text for Chapter 3. And we want to focus here on learning Objective 4. How do we use the cost of production report? So the cost of production report we're going to use to see how effectively we are managing or controlling costs within the manufacturing department. So managers often will use this report. They'll compare the cost of materials, the cost of conversion cost from one period to the next period, and they'll investigate the differences. And those variances often suggest both positive and negative things that are worthy of investigation. So we've got our beginning inventory is $225 worth of cost. It's confusing here. One of the things I think you get confused in this chapter is what numbers are in dollars and what numbers are in units. So Frozen Delight, this is our ice cream company. So the cost of the beginning inventory on July 1st is $6,225, and that's made up of 5,000 gallons of material and conversion costs, 5,000, which were 70% complete, 1,225, right? So those are my total costs. And now we know we want to express those as equivalent units. The equivalent units, so you've got 5,000 for materials, but with regard to the conversion cost, those 5,000 gallons were 70% complete. So if we can take the total cost and divide by the equivalent units for material and conversion cost, we can come up with the cost per gallon of materials and also the cost per gallon of the conversion costs. All right. So let's do that. So we see here, I hope I don't give you a headache. I'm going to go back and forth. Materials cost $5,000 and they were 5,000 gallons. That's pretty simple. 5,000 divided by 5,000. So the direct materials rather are $1 per gallon. And the conversion costs were 1,225. There were 5,000 units in beginning inventory, but they were only 70% complete. So you take 5,000 times 70%. I think that gives you like 35. And if you divide 1,225 by 5,000 times 70%, you see the conversion costs were 35 cents per unit or per gallon. Okay, so there's my two numbers that I need. Materials cost $1 per gallon, and then the conversion cost of 35 cents per gallon. So that is, we're going to compare June and we're going to compare July. So your inventory as of July 1st is the same thing as your inventory at the end of June. So you can assume that that inventory reflects our June costs, right? So the June costs were $1 for materials and 35 cents for conversion. So July comes along, and I don't have the numbers to support how they got July here. But in July, the cost per equivalent unit is $1.10. So that actually increased by 10 cents. That's a 10% increase in cost of materials. That's worthy of investigation. Why did the materials go up? Was there waste in the materials? Did the materials, are they more expensive? So that's worthy of investigation. And the conversion costs went down. They went from 35 cents per gallon down to 30 cents per gallon. So that is also a significant swing there. You take 5 cents and divide by 35. That's a pretty big number there. So although that's positive, that's worthy of investigation as well. Are they cutting corners here? Is everyone doing their job appropriately? Why is it that conversion cost instead is made up of both labor and overhead? Why has that actually gone down? Right. So we can use this report, a report like this, to actually identify variances and investigate. So that's how we use a production report. Little quick knowledge check here. The cost of a production report is often used by managers for analyzing the change in the conversion and direct materials costs. So we just did that. So when we did that, did we do that for whole units between periods? Did we do that with equivalent units between periods, partial units between periods, or completed units between periods? So which of the four did we do? And you already know the answer to that. It is B, the equivalent units. Okay, so the cost of production is used by analyzing the conversion and direct materials on an equivalent unit basis, because the equivalent unit basis considers both the goods that were the stuff that was started and completed during the period, and also includes the effect of what's in beginning inventory and what's in ending inventory. So the answer there is B. And you have these slides, by the way. Okay, next, analysis for decision making. I got to move my head around here. Analyzing process costs. So this is a pretty brief discussion here. So we can do a cost report, and we see for the blending department here, for this particular scenario, the reports indicated the total unit cost increased in May from 5 cents, from 50 cents to 53 cents. So that's a 6% increase. So why is it that the costs went up? Well, to determine, so we're looking at here, we're contrasting different months. We're comparing April to May. So here is the total cost, and then here is the total cost for May. You can see there is 50 cents, and you can see for April it's 50 cents, and for May it's 53, and you can see the percentage change in all those. Right? All right, so the way we got that, go back here a second. Get this out of the way. Okay, so here is the total costs for material, labor, energy, repairs, and so forth. So when you look at these numbers here, you've got to be careful that it looks like we had a big increase. We went from April to May, the cost doubled, but some of that cost was as a result of doubling the actual number of units completed. So here we completed 100,000 units at 50 cents. Here we at 53 cents. So we take the total costs and divide by the number of units. So that's the cost per unit. So that's good to know. But what we really want to focus in on is what was the material cost, what was the labor cost, what was the energy, what was the repairs, and so forth. So if we take each of those numbers there, for April, if we divide by 100,000, and for May, if we go and divide by 200,000, we can start to compare here. So we can see that direct materials cost increased, labor actually went down. There was a huge spike in energy that went up 25%. Repairs was no change, and there was tank cleaning went up as well. So therefore, you can actually analyze what caused the 6% increase. Right. So the key thing here is to remember when you want to express, since the volumes are different, to actually take a look at the unit cost. You've got to divide the unit cost by the actual volume that we had. Okay. So that's it for that. So you've now had. You can move this down to the bottom here. Okay, so you now have had the discussion about using the cost production report, and you've had the little discussion there about analyzing process costs. Right? So with that, I will wish you would do. This completes my lecture of chapter 3. But what I will do is I'm going to do a separate little mini lecture reviewing those some of those exercises at the back of the chapter, one we did in class and a couple that we didn't do in class. Right? So I will see you shortly with that other video. Hasta luego, au revoir, adios.